And at number 10, yellow. Yellow may end up triggering xanthophobia, which is the fear of the color yellow. Yellow is a game available online that is essentially like the Impossible quiz, but instead of answering questions, you have to find an incredibly weird way to make the whole screen yellow. The thing about these games is that they will typically only be scary to the fears that they trigger, and this game is no exception. If you have the fear of yellow, you're not watching this part, and if you are watching this part and you're scared of yellow, then I just need to say congratulations and I'm so sorry. This game literally revolves around the color yellow, and since you need to fill the screen with it, you're going to have a difficult time avoiding it. There isn't really much else to say. It's a game about yellow. And at 9, words with friends. If you suffer from hippomonstrosis quipedaliophobia, got it in one, that's right, then words with friends or even Scrabble is not the game for you. This game will trigger the fear of long words, which ironically is one of the longest words in the English dictionary. The game, as I'm sure you know, is about making long words to score points and beat your friends to a pulp because you've read the dictionary. While yes, you can make short words, ultimately, to win, you need to hit that sweet 5-syllable word on double points. If you do that with hippomonstrosis quipedaliophobia, then you're going to be so far in the lead you'll be James Holitzer from Jeopardy! If you didn't know, he's like the best player of all time, and it happened earlier this year. So far in the lead, not even someone who can spell anti-disestablishmentarianism will get you. Sorry to trigger you hippomonstrosis quipedaliophobes out there. Hippomonstrosis quipedaliophobia. Yep. And at 8, Job Simulator. While this game is quite the fun or potentially boring VR game, those with ergophobia will be horrified to willingly subjecting yourself to work in a video game. Yes, ergophobia is the fear of work, and Job Simulator, come on, do I really need to explain? It's in the name of the game. No matter what context you do it in, even if you hire the criminal for laughs, it's still terrifying. And while most of these games are just hand and keyboard or a controller, this one is in virtual reality, forcing you to live the experience in the most immersive way possible. I don't know if having this fear would be like a blessing or a curse. Like, yeah, you can say you're terrified of working, and you are, but I'm not sure if there's much benefit to it. We need to work to survive. It's part of the reason why I'm here. I need food and I need to afford rent. But does this also constitute that you're afraid of housework? Or are you afraid of doing something with a purpose, like looking for something up for a specific reason? I'm not sure how these phobias work, to be honest, so if you do, please let me know in the comments because I'm really curious. And at 7, Pope Mobile. I love that this is an actual phobia, and if I had known about it sooner, I'm sure I'd say I have it because it is so interesting. Sometime in 2018, the Pope was going to visit Ireland, and the whole country was preparing. So one person thought it would be hilarious to make a game based around driving the Pope to Ireland as quickly as possible. Papaphobia is the fear of the Pope, and yes, you heard that right. While the Pope is never on screen, you know that he's in the car with you, and that can certainly give anyone a feeling of dread, knowing that you're carrying one of the most important people in the backseat of your Nissan Altima. But those with papaphobia will be scared to even come anywhere close to the car. The game is available in browsers, so if you want a Pope racing game like I know we all secretly do, search it up because it's great. And at 6, rinse and repeat. Do you enjoy taking a shower? Do you love bathing with others? Do you have a desire to watch other men in a virtual shower with almost no limitations? Well, maybe you should stop watching and go do that. You can do all of that with rinse and repeat, but for those with a blutophobia, you're in for one nasty treat. Hey, that rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. I can make it rhyme anytime. If you didn't understand that reference, we can't be friends. While bathing does indeed scare people, there is a way to help get over this fear. Exposure therapy and cognitive behavior therapy are both options to help you gradually expose yourself to the environment and help you become more comfortable with the situation. If you have any of these fears and are worried or embarrassed, there is no need to be. Talk to someone about it, maybe your doctor, and see what options you have if you want to get over it.
Number 5, Doki Doki Literature Club. Have you ever thought to yourself, this dating sim is great, but you know, it could be better if there were more psychological horror elements in there? No? Well then, you might not be ready for the wonder that is Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club is really a horror game disguised as a dating sim, but it also scratches a lot of that itch as well, especially in the first half of this game, which is more blatant dating sim until the horror starts to creep in and completely shock you during the second half, which might be a big reason why this one is included on the list. You'll love it, but it may also kinda ruin you. I also love how the trailer for Literature Club makes it seem completely innocent, like there's no signs of what is to come. Number 4, perfect date. Do you like cats? How do you feel about unique and quirky cats that you can date? In Perfect Date, you are a researcher on Cat Island who mysteriously finds himself slowly transforming into a small feline yourself. In order to learn more about the mystery of your transformation, the island, and the cats, you must date the other cats on the island, which are praised among dating sim circles for their unconventional and unusually hilarious personas. Perfect Date might seem like an odd one to include because, I mean, I think dating cats is definitely something that people are going to judge you for, but it's also something that within the context of this game is really entertaining and funny. Note, you probably should not date cats unless, like in this game, you're transforming into a literal cat. Just so you know, I don't condone the dating of cats otherwise, but I think in a game where you're a cat, then it's okay. Number 3, Dream Daddy. Not just an amazingly successful dating sim, but also now a comic as well. Dream Daddy was dreamed up by Game Grumps, famous for their YouTube videos and gameplays, with writing done by Leighton Gray and Vernon Shaw. In Dream Daddy, you take on the role of a single dad who has just moved to a new town with his daughter. And good news, there are tons of other single dads there for you to meet and possibly romance. Not only is this game hilarious and well written, but it also has a lot of heart as your daughter, Amanda, her name is also Amanda, helps to coax you out of your shell and supports you on your dating journey. Super cute. I'm not exactly sure how Dream Daddy could ruin your love life because it is just like really fun, unless I guess you fell more in love with the dads in this game than you did your own partner, which could happen. The dads in this game are pretty great. Number 2, Speed Dating for Ghosts. This is one of my all-time favorite dating sims. Speed Dating for Ghosts will not just ruin your love life, but also might make you reflect on the afterlife and its inhabitants and ruin your thoughts of the afterlife and what it might be like. Or maybe make them better, not sure. In this game, you are a ghost looking for a soul mate, get it? To keep you company either for all of eternity or, you know, maybe just for now. We'll see where it goes. As much as this is a dating sim, it's also a game where you get to attempt to pull off bank heists, solve mysteries, and make not just romantic connections, but also platonic connections as well. Oh yeah, and did I mention that you also get to go to hell for even more dating fun at the end of the game? It's pretty awesome. It's a party and a half. The game is short, but it's also adorable, and there have been many nights I've stayed up late just to enjoy some ghostly speed dates. It's one of those games that it's hard for me to put it down once I start it. Number 1, Monster Prom. Probably one of my favorite dating sims around, but also one that will leave you feeling completely frustrated, is Monster Prom. Monster Prom is kind of a puzzle of a dating simulator with so many choices and options available to you. You will certainly feel somewhat overwhelmed on your first playthrough here. This is a dating sim where you are a monster at Spooky High. With only 3 weeks left till the Monster Prom, you must search to find a date. Although one of my favorite elements of this game is that actually in the end, you still always have the option to fly solo at the prom and kind of go it alone if you'd rather. I didn't have a date for my prom in real life when it happened, and I still had a blast, so I really like that. I like that even in a dating sim, there is an acknowledgement that you don't actually have to be coupled to have a good time at prom. Or anywhere really. Number 10, Sakura Wars. Some of my favorite RPGs also have romance elements to them, like the Dragon Age series, and this is also what you get with the 2019 Sakura Wars, which is half open world RPG, complete with combat, and half dating sim, blending both wonderful worlds of gaming together. In this game, you play as Seijiro Kamiyama, a soldier who faces off against demons. And throughout your adventures, there are also plenty of ladies for you to romance along the way. One of my favorite pastimes, obviously, is kicking butt and romancing pretty ladies, so for me, this is a win-win. It also means you won't have to go out into the world to find a date, which I think is a major plus, especially since kicking demon butt in the real world is not really a thing you can do. So that part of the game, you know, we can't really live that fantasy. I mean, you know, kicking butt, sure, but kicking demon butt? Not really a thing. Number 9, Honeypop. Racy and yet nuanced, Honeypop is a dating sim that also mixes in Bejeweled style gameplay, where you must match 4 symbols in order to interact with the characters. So for those of you that are like me and love dating sims and love matching games, which I do, this is a great one. The only downside to this and some other games in terms of the dating simulator world is it's not a super diverse cast. I mean, it's only really ladies, as rad as they are, and that's kind of the options that you have when it comes to who you can date. I like things that are a little bit more like you can date this lady, this guy, this thing, this gelatinous cube. I mean, whatever options I can get, I will take. However, something that I find really cool about Honeypop is that it is a game where paying attention is really rewarded and where the conversations feel more meaningful in regards to using the information that you've learned about your potential dates to your advantage. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more lists about dating sims from us, please be sure to let us know in the comments below. And click that like button while you're on your way down there. Number 8. Kiss You. Kiss You isn't technically out yet, but I just know it's going to be a great game because of the folks who are working on it. So it's definitely one you'll want to watch out for, which is why I included it here. Kiss You does also have a playable demo available now, so if you're itching to see what this game will be like, that is something you can definitely check out. Kiss You is described as a spicy, high fantasy dating sim / arcade puzzler for adults from Babs Tarr and Sam Thurman. In this game, you attend Kiss University as a student where you must balance classwork, your social life, and of course, your fiery romances. As this is set in a fantasy world, there are all sorts of characters for you to date as well, which I love. The game was successfully funded on Kickstarter and features art from Babs and writing from Critical Role artist and comics author Kendra Wells. Number 7. I Love You, Colonel Sanders. I Love You, Colonel Sanders is an off-the-rail dating sim that takes you to all sorts of wild places. And best thing is, it is completely free to play, as it basically also serves as a playable video game version of a KFC ad. In this game, you are romancing none other than the Colonel himself. Or is he romancing you? You are attending a prestigious cooking school, which is where you both meet, and throughout the course of the game you will get to compete in cooking competitions while also trying to win the heart of the handsome Sanders, and maybe even try to become his business partner as well. Some people think this game is too ridiculous to play, and I mean, they're kinda right. It definitely is ridiculous, but you should also definitely play it in my humble opinion, because it's ridiculous, but I don't think it's too ridiculous. It's just the right amount for me. Number 6. Senren Banka. Senren Banka is a visual novel that was made in honor of Ubisoft's 10th anniversary, and it definitely is not the only dating sim that they have in their catalog. It is one of the best rated dating sims on Steam currently, and is more your traditional dating sim, focusing on the narrative and characters, and like I said, being a visual novel. In fact, this is a dating sim that I'd highly recommend just for the fact that it has won so many awards, nominated for awards for best art, music, and characters, and winning many of the ones it happened to be nominated for. Senren Banka was released in 2020, and it also features great voice acting as well, which I love a dating sim that actually has voice acting because there's so many that don't. They maybe give you like an aha when someone speaks or something, but not like actual someone saying words.
Halfway through at number 5, Miyamata. Miyamata is a first-person survival game with slight horror elements. You play as an alchemist who is dying of a disease, so you try to invent a cure with a dangerous monster lurking in the woods. While most people will be scared of the monster, those with Ergophobia will be scared of the fact that this game is basically a flower picker simulator. Ergophobia is the fear of flowers. Wow, this game is definitely full of them, with them being the main ingredient to using your elixirs for maintaining your life. If you play this game and avoid picking up the flowers, you're gonna lose. At least this game isn't virtual reality. Maybe you'll be able to disassociate the flowers with real life ones. Since they're virtual, don't smell and don't collect pollen causing your eyes to swell up, and when your sister throws a handful of them in your face right in the middle of allergy season, you have to go home because your eyes are watering and are now in intense pain because there was a bee in there. Okay, I'm going on a tangent. Just don't play the game if you're anthrophobic. Don't play any of these games if you have this fear. Like, unless you like a challenge. In at 4, rain. The fear is in the name. Umbraphobia is the fear of rain, and if you decide to load up this game because you think the title is ironic, you'll hate your life. In rain, it is always raining, so much so that the story revolves around a character who can see secret objects and people, but only while it's raining. So in the game, it is literally always raining because that's a crutch the developers stuck themselves with when coming up with this ridiculous plot. Does fear of rain actually count as fear of water? Or are people who are scared of water also scared of rain? Is this like a subcategory of phobia, or is it its own thing? I'm so confused. Well, if you decide to play this game, bring an umbrella. Or you can get a poncho, but that means that the rain is closer to your skin, so I'd suggest the umbrella. Ella, And at 3, Subnautica. Subnautica is an open world survival action adventure game by Unknown Worlds Entertainment that allows the player to explore the ocean on an alien planet. You can see where this is going. Thalassophobia is the fear of the deep, open water, or ocean, and is literally the antithesis to this game. This game does support VR, but unlike Job Simulator, you don't have to play in VR. Not only is this about the open, deep ocean, but it also contains monsters like Sea Treader Leviathan, who walks along the ocean floor, the Warper, that looks worse than Cthulhu, the Sea Dragon Leviathan, a huge underwater dragon, the Ghost Leviathan that should have stayed dead, and the Reaper Leviathan that is the horrific face spider of planet 4546b. And at 2, Close Your Eyes. This game is probably an optophobe's worst nightmare. The game Close Your Eyes may sound blissful to those afraid of opening their eyes, but what you'll realize after closing them is that there are secrets behind them. But to continue, you need to open your eyes. While this game is called Close Your Eyes, this is only a small portion of the game. With 3 different endings and an intense story, you'll actually have a good time playing this game if you don't have optophobia, the fear of opening your eyes. The game revolves around the opening and closing of your eyes, and this begs the question, do you also fear closing your eyes, since it means you'll have to open them? Or does this fear pass into a video game since they call it opening and closing your eyes? I have no clue. And finally, taking our number 1 spot, Try to Fall Asleep. Try to Fall Asleep is a game about John Heron, who suffers a terrible accident that causes him physical and mental harm. After healing from the damage, he must try and heal from his brain damage by sleeping, but his hallucinations try to scare him. Somnophobia is the fear of falling asleep, and while for this game you are awake and you repeatedly get scared awake, the game revolves around you trying to fall asleep. Every time you get scared awake, you just need to fall asleep again. Things can get rough for you both in the game and in real life if you have this phobia. So like I've said before, if you have any of these phobias, don't play these games. If you want to use them as a coping mechanism, or if you think that they'll help you, then go for it. But when a game is literally trying to scare you like this one, it is probably not the best idea to add a phobia to the mix, hence why it's at number 1.
And at 10, Five Nights in Anime. Okay, now this isn't exactly a mod for a FNAF game in general, but it's a modification of the characters and the story that will make your significant other question everything if they see you playing it. So you know what, I'm gonna count it, plus I need more for this list. There was not 10 actual mods. I mean, like, hey, I know that people love animatronics, and I know that that love can get a little weird. But even I was surprised to learn that this game existed. And you know what, I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise. A lot of it, and I thought that I'd seen it all, but apparently I haven't, because you know what, here's Five Nights in Anime. This game was basically created to parody FNAF, where instead of you being a security guard at a Freddy's restaurant, you're actually hired as the security guard at an anime convention, and it's up to you to watch over these anime-style animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Yeah, they're still animatronics. We've got the core cast of animatronics, they're just stylized as well-endowed anime ladies, because why not? I don't know. I think the really weird thing about this game is that how many people seemed to want more of it, and then wanted a version that leads more into the genre itself instead of just being a parody, which is kind of weird. In at 9, Buff Freddy and Morty. And don't think that I'm not gonna be inclusive. For all those who love the dudes, who love the trash men of every universe, Buff Freddy and Morty are here to honestly make me feel just as uncomfortable as any other mods that are on this list. The last time that this mod was updated, it was 6 months ago, and it, quote, added super buff versions of Freddy and Monty, optionally making them even beefier. Created by store_brand_mods on Game Banana, this is certainly something. Although they swear it was just meant to be a small model edit that makes Freddy and Monty a good bit beefier, they blame any other feelings that you get from this mod on a thumbnail for a gameplay video on the Vanamelon channel on YouTube. Which, yeah, I looked at it, it's certainly kinda sus. Okay? It is worth noting, however, that if you do want to install this, the mod requires Unnervum to actually install properly. Not sure what that means. I don't really mod Security Breach, but I guess plenty of you understand it. At least if you're watching this this list for more mods to add to your to download section. I'm sure you'll understand it. Okay, these animatronics are already scarily jacked, though I didn't think you needed to make them any beefier, but you did, so there you go. In at 8, Roxy's Mega Pizzaplex. Are you obsessed with Roxy? If you are, I'm sure any relationship you have is already on the rocks. However, if you really want to drive your obsession into the ground, this Roxy Mega Pizzaplex mod is for you. Created by user Moon on Game Banana, this isn't really that kind of mod, but it's definitely questionable why you'd change the Pizzaplex to be about Roxy. I mean, it could make make sense for like after the main story when Freddy leaves, but even then it would be Monty who replaced him. Luckily enough though, they actually come up with an explanation for this and replace Monty with someone else. However, they also replace the original Roxy with Freddy. So if Freddy is still there, I don't know how this works with the lore, but you know what? Oh well. It's not a mod that will make your internet provider worry that you're okay, but it's still a mod that will make your significant other or any prospective partner think twice about what's going on in your head. You know what? Either one. Either head, you know? But yeah, I definitely would question it as well. Chica's Mega Pizza Plex though. That's understandable. And it's 7 Five Nights in Anime 2. And you know what? Just when I thought that those fan games couldn't get any worse, Five Nights in Anime has a sequel. Oh boy. And you know what? They just keep coming. It's like the all-star of FNAF games. This version of Five Nights in Anime is even more bizarre than the first one, and it's really more of the same though, with the same tropes, but this time parodying it. Can you guess it? Yeah, that's right. FNAF 2. My question is though, if this is a parody in the exact same vein, did we really need a sequel for it? Okay, I don't know. But I mean, there might have been a good amount of people asking for it, considering how this is a thing that we did get. Although, I do want to acknowledge the fact that the first Five Nights in Anime game got 3.5 million downloads, then the second one only got 1.8. So, maybe you shouldn't have done it. Although 1.8 million, if I got 1.8 million views on a video, that would be insane. Either way, it's better than that one mod for Security Breach, okay, that people keep telling me to download in my Instagram DMs. Don't worry, I'll talk about it later. Yeah, you do realize what platform this is, right? I could not share that. Although, if I did it on like Patreon or something. Does OnlyFans have rules against that? And at 6, Freddy Footbear. Alright, look. Okay, I'm not one to yuck someone's yum. Okay, I'm not here to kink shame. I actually understand the science behind this kind of fascination. The two sections of the brain are so close that like the neural networks can sometimes get crossed. And that's totally 100% okay. Alright, nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not into it, but if you are, that's fine. The only thing I'm questioning here is adding this feature to a giant 80s glam rock themed bear animatronic that's in a video game. That's the part that's kind of strange to me, okay? And the mod author isn't any help, okay? As Seaborg on Game Banana puts it, quote, gives Glamrock Freddy a pair of human feet. No, I won't elaborate. So thanks for the help on that, Seaborg, or Keborg, I guess. I don't know how exactly you would say it. It starts with a C-E, so I'm inclined to say Seaborg. But because it's kind of like cyborg, but I'm also inclined to say keyboard because, like, you know, Connor with the C. But you know what? Since you won't elaborate, neither will I. Next number.
Moving on to number 5, Everything. Everything is a very self-explanatory title. It is exactly the goal of this dating game that thrusts you into a strange bar filled with surreal characters that you try to sleep with. There is no instruction either. Your goal is as the title suggests, and you can either take these characters home or screw them in the alleyway outside the bar if that's your thing. Actually. But it is more than a screwing simulator. According to critics, the underlying themes of the game celebrate gender and sexual fluidity, and criticize hypermasculine rape culture. Yay, sex-positive games! In addition to that, the art style may be lacking to some, or at least to those who don't pick up on the nostalgia trip that most of its aesthetic references. Gen Y and older millennials will likely connect to it much more because of this. And at number 4, Rinse and Repeat. Now, for those of you who remember the Steam game Shower with Your Dad Simulator, but felt it wasn't rowdy enough for your liking, here's a much more not safe for work showering game, created by erotica video game expert Robert Yang. And it's showering with a different kind of daddy. The goal of the game? You help another fully nude man shower. Described as a very wet game, R&R takes place in a locker room shower. It's much more than an erotic shower experience though. As Yang puts it, I quote, older gay men understand this in a tradition of cruising in gay bathhouses, while younger gay men might narrativize it as more of a reversal of bullying dynamics in high school gym. Above all, the locker room is understood normally as a place of danger, where you could be discovered or outed or beaten for looking at someone the wrong way, even if you were just minding your own business, and there's nowhere to hide, not even your own clothes. Which is clearly a much more interesting take on an erotic game like this. Yang's work is pretty dope. Speaking of, in at number 3, Cobra Club. Cobra Club is a dick pic simulator of sorts created by the same developer as our last number, Robert Yang. It takes place entirely in a bathroom, where your goal is to take the best dick pic possible, which is much harder than you think, no pun intended. You are equipped with a camera phone and a series of tools, and with this game's more recent updates, the ability to shape and model your schlong however your heart desires. And fun fact, according to Yang, there are more polygons in this 3D title in a dick than an entire Half-Life 2 character or Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake character model. That is impressive. Yang has produced a series of erotic video games during his career, including Stick Shift, a game where you get to f your car, Succulent, a game where you make a sexy music video, and Hurt Me Plenty, a consensual adult spanking game. Concerning Cobra Club though, in an interview with Kotaku, Yang would say of his title, I quote, "Cobra Club is more direct in response to all of these dudes playing my abstract gay sex innuendo games and saying, 'This is so gay, ew.' Basically, when people are being homophobic and gross, the proper response is to be even gayer at them. Preach." Moving on to number 2. This one is so not safe for work that we literally have to bleep out the title. The title is dirty slang that starts with a C for female genitals. If you still don't know what that is, well, friends, that is your problem. Comes from indie video game icon Edmund McMillan, the creator of Super Meat Boy and The Binding of Isaac, and it is a flash game of his from 2008, long before he developed his more well-known titles. It has got everything: depiction of private bits, bodily fluids, and even sexually transmitted infections, or diseases as they were referred to back then. You play as a sentient penis gun shooting at an STD-ridden vulva. It's graphic as hell, very crude, with not much of a purpose beyond getting in some novelty-driven kicks. Compared to McMillan's later work, it definitely feels amateur, but if an anthropomorphic vulva is something you feel like your life needs, then maybe this title is for you. Don't want to know what the rest of your life is like if you feel like you really need an anthropomorphic vulva in it. And finally, in at number 1, Quidget the Wonder Wiener. Looking for smut? Great artwork? Pervy point-and-click fun? If all that sounds up your alley, Quidget the Wonder Wiener might be the perfect game for you. It is a visual novel that features animated sexy bits, which features characters orgasming, and revolves around science experiments, which of course all pertain to some sort of sexual content. It's not just all animated nudity and testing out sex robots though. Which I mean, it's still kind of enough for some people. The writing is fairly witty, inclusive, and plays with tropes in refreshing ways. Plus, if you support their Patreon, you can get your mitts on the Sextended Edition, which adds a whole bunch more not safe for work content into your game. Moving on to number 9, Gun Pixies. A PC and Nintendo Switch title, Gun Pixies is a platformer, a third-person shooter, a visual novel, and features a ton of censored anime nudity. It's a game about 2 miniature female aliens learning about human life by infiltrating a woman's dorm. And there are panties galore. But aside from a whole lot of raunchy fun, the game addresses some surprising themes: sexual and mental health. Right off the top, we get a cautionary tale about dieting. Excessive dieting, that is. The aliens are here to learn about human behavior so that they can take that knowledge back to their home planet, and it is so very pervy, but with an almost wholesome message beneath it all. All that and a ton of upskirt shots. Moving on to number 8, Blood Pact. Blood Pact is a succubus BDSM queer illustrated porn game, crafted by developer Anna Valens using Twine. The succubus is a woman who seeks out trans women in order to worship their estrogen-filled bodies. Now, according to critics, unlike other mainstream portrayals of BDSM, looking at you 50 Shades of Grey, it does BDSM right, depicting the caring side of it as well as the kinky stuff. As Kotaku put it on the review, it's not just a sexy fantasy, but a sexy fantasy where you are wanted, and that's pretty dope. Plus, there is a ton of black and white pornographic images that'll tickle your fancy, especially if you're looking for a sexy queer alternative to some of the other pornographic games out there. In at number 7, Shark Dating Simulator XL. Ever wanted to f a shark? Well, now you can, friends, with Shark Dating Simulator XL. There's nothing that technology can't do for us these days, isn't there? Found on Steam, it is a dating sim mixed with some serious comedy in which you work for a fish scientist and find yourself diving down into a shipwreckage in search of talking fish. You end up finding a female shark named Shark-chan, a woman who is transformed into a shark and hasn't gotten laid since she got her fins. And it's your goal to swoon her. A short title, it does feature multiple endings and a lot of references to balls. Good for a chuckle, that is for sure. And at number 6, Strange Flesh. Strange Flesh is a beat-em-up sex game. This title follows the story of a man named Joe, an unhappy office worker teeming with sexual repression. Described as hypnotizingly beautiful, Strange Flesh sees Joe getting his rocks off with a big, beefy, well-endowed bartender in this sexy gay adult beat-em-up title with a score that feels very similar to the film Drive. You play as the bartender on a mission to rescue Joe from his terrible lifestyle, fighting manifestations of him in order to set him free, and of course, hook up with him and give him that sweet, sweet release that he craves.
Halfway through in at number 5, Fat Freddy and Monty. Ah yes, with a ton of people online claiming to love dad bods and only dad bods so that they can get even more followers and attention, you know that I was going to have to include Fat Freddy and Monty. I feel like dad bod Freddy and Monty would have been a better name for this and gotten more clicks, but you know what, it's fine. You can fat shame guys online, right? That's the rule, right? Body shame guys and guys only. Yeah, like 50 Cent, oh man, that dude let go. Anyway, have you heard Lizzo's new song lately? Okay, sorry. Double standards aside, this is quite simply just a beer belly Monty and Freddy. Or as the mod author Moik puts it, Mock, I'm sorry for the horrible pronunciation, quote, another cursed mod makes Montgomery and Freddy look like Discord mods. But at least this way, you fitting in Glamrock Freddy's chest cavity actually kind of makes more sense because it wouldn't just be a 14-inch vertical hole. It's like that but horizontally now. So I think that's kind of more accurate. I mean, I could nearly fit in that, I think. Like my shoulders are like 17 inches long, but like my head certainly isn't, so I feel like I could fit in it if I was facing the right way. Like this is not 14 inches. So like I could fit in it like that. I don't know. So like this way you don't have to be the size of a 4-year-old anymore, Gregory. There you go. But seriously, why do you have this mod installed already? Why? In it for Five Nights of Love. Oh yes, another fan game, okay? One that I didn't know existed, but I had a feeling that it would. I figured that if KFC could have a dating sim, then FNAF might have one too, right? And it absolutely does. I'm just waiting for the FNAF console. You heard me right, alright? It's a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, in the games or not, and you know what? With a human trapped in a suit and a pile of trash, or a human trapped in a suit and a short skeleton from the underworld, you'll still ship it, and it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who actually makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras, you look at the rooms of a public place, and you'll periodically meet the toy versions of Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With each one of them, the player can have like a heart-to-heart talk, or try to hug them, which is a whole other thing, but you know what, you give them all your love and attention, and then thanks to the treatment, the level of the toy's love towards you will increase. But also your energy will decrease, and then once your energy is out, you have to return to your office, your actual room, or I guess go home, and then come back the next day and start again. Partially though, you can actually like recharge energy at Balloon Boy once a day, I think, if you get lucky. But over this period of 5 days, you gotta make sure as many animatronics love you as possible, which is weird and a whole, I don't want to start any animatronic orgies, alright? That's kind of weird. But you know what? The higher score you get, the more successfully you complete this game. Why is this a thing? Why? Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Vanny Thunder Thighs. I mean, it's something that we knew would happen, and I think that it's something that I've actually joked about in the past about wanting, but like, why would you do this to yourself and us? But like also mostly yourself, because your name is attached to it, and I very clearly am not actually trying to nail Vanny or Vanessa, okay? Chica's my main girl. And you know what? I'm actually glad you kind of held back, okay? This mod could have been worse, okay? You could have taken this to the extreme. You could have made it that she's only wearing the mask. You could have made it that like her suit is skimpy, like basically every Skyrim armor mod ever. And you could have done a lot more, but you just made her thighs huge. And I can appreciate the restraint. I really can. So, Mock again, I think that's how you'd say the name. I'm sorry if I keep butchering it. Well done on restraining yourself from going even harder. Pun absolutely intended. Of course, like Jesus, like I can't even deal with this anymore, okay? I think we've seen all of this enough, specifically, especially after seeing the comments on this mod. That one comment was yikes. Penultimately, in at number 2, thick. Building off the last number, for this number I'm making my own category of mods, okay? This number is for any mod that makes any of the characters bigger, and in this case, typically thicker, okay? There are quite a few, and honestly, it's concerning. Fat Freddy and Monty, for example, like I mentioned earlier. Also, Thunder Thighs Vanny, but also thick Vanessa, and then multiple mods that, let's say, enhance Roxy and Chica, sometimes separately, sometimes not. Okay, there are separate bigger Roxy and Chica mods, but also the one on the Nexus that makes them both bigger in certain areas, as the mod author describes it, okay? Like, I understand that sex sells, okay? I went to advertising school, I get that, but seriously, with animatronics? Like, come on, Chica was already pretty damn thick. you didn't need to pile on. Okay, then Roxy already seemed to have a lot of fans based on her original version as well, especially given the thumbnail that I did for Gaming Elite when I pretended to censor her. Come on, they're man-made plastic constructed robots, okay? Come on. I know that like I joke about Chica and it's probably gonna prevent me from getting a girlfriend at literally any point in my life, especially if they find these videos, but you know what? It's not real. I'm kidding. It's a joke, okay? Or at least I am kidding until the day that Chica's real. But until then, I'm kidding. Alright, so relax. Please, stop. Speaking of which, finally, into number 1, not modest animatronics. And this is another number that I felt like I had to put on this list, because this is what made me have to do the list in the first place. I can't actually say the name of the actual mod without getting in trouble from the gods above, those being Susan and the rest of YouTube's staff and AI algorithms. However, this not modest or not clothed animatronics mod is very concerning for me, okay? People keep DMing me, trying to tell me to download this mod. No! This mod removes the clothing. I'm putting air quotes on it because, again, it's plastic, okay? And then it leaves both Roxy and Chica exposed. So clearly it's not gonna be a viable option for a YouTube playthrough, okay? And the Patreon isn't even, I'm not stooping myself to that level, okay? But also, why are they so well endowed with this mod? Why? Sweet heavens, why? Okay, at least if you're gonna make this mod, make it realistic, okay? Like, come on. They must be wearing some high-tier compression fabric or something like that, okay? Because when you have this mod, yowza! Plus, apparently, images on Google also show me that there's a Monty version of this mod, giving him, as well, some well-endowed chest articles, which is just... why? What the hell is up with that? Monty doesn't need chesticles, okay?